Hello everyone, JD here, and welcome to this week's Talking News. It's been another busy and really positive week here at the site for Wight, as we had the opportunity to spend some time with a group of our younger members, listening to their thoughts, ideas, experiences. We've had some really great conversations, plenty of laughs, and of course, some pizza along the way. Most importantly, we've received some really useful feedback about the things young people would like to see us doing in the future. There was a lot of ideas around activities, opportunities to meet other young people and try new experiences and having more of a chance to have their voices heard. It was a really great reminder of just how important it is that we continue to listen to people of all ages when developing our services. And there's certainly some exciting things that we can look forward to. But until then, have a lovely week everyone. Take care.
Here is this week's charity news on the 21st of August 2026. Just a reminder that all member activities have now stopped for August and will reopen on Tuesday the 1st of September. Please note that the office here at Millbrook will remain open throughout the month, so please call or pop in and see us if you need any help and advice. September, we will once again be holding our RID, the Wight-sponsored cycle ride. Staff, volunteers and members will clock up the miles and be displayed within the hallway at Millbrook. If you or a family member enjoys cycling, please ask them to get a sponsorship or maybe suggest they ride to work one day and donate their travel money. If you would like a sponsor form, please call the office and we can arrange for one to be sent to you.
Our annual short story writing competition is now live, and this year the theme is Love, Hope and Courage. Adult stories should be between 1,500 and 2,000 words. Children's stories, aged 12 to 17, up to 750 words. 8 to 11 years old, up to 500 words, and under 8s up to 250 words, and pictures can be used. For more details or for an entry form, please call the office and speak to Chris. This could be your summer project whilst the activities are on break, or encourage grandchildren and family members to enter. Lots of lovely prizes on offer.
Hi, this is Steve with a story from Isle of Wight Radio with the headline, New Provider Chosen for Isle of Wight Family Support Service. A new provider has been chosen to deliver a major family support service on the Isle of Wight in a contract worth more than £1.5 million a year. The identity of the successful bidder is currently confidential. The Early Intervention and Prevention Service supports expectant parents, babies, children and young people through the island's family hubs and centres. It provides support for children and young people aged up to 19, or up to 25 for those with special educational needs and disabilities. The new 3-year contract will begin in April 2027, when the existing arrangement with the charity Bernardo's comes to an end. It was approved by the Council's Children's Services, Education and Skills Committee following a procurement process involving 7 bidders. The contract can also be extended for up to 3 further 1-year periods. The decision comes after councillors raised concerns about a delay in the procurement process. Committee Chair Councillor Ros Freeman said there had been an oversight, which meant the matter should potentially have been brought forward in March. She said council officers had apologised and assured her it would not happen again. Liberal Democrat councillor Andrew Garrett said there was a governance issue, but added he accepted officers were human and had apologised. Independent councillor Carl Love has called for greater transparency around confidential council contracts. He said, there are times when confidentiality is necessary, but councillors need to have a clear understanding of decisions being made. The Council says the procurement process produced a strong and competitive response, and that awarding the contract will ensure the continued delivery of early help, family support and family hub services from April 2027.
Hello, this is an article from the Isle of Wight Radio, read by Sue. Isle of Wight Ambulance Service welcomes Battersea rescue dog Jaffa to Service Care Dog Team. A former Battersea rescue dog has gone from a difficult start in life to becoming a valued member of the Isle of Wight Ambulance Service Care Dog Team on the Isle of Wight. Miniature poodle cross Jaffa arrived at Battersea as a stray at just 12 weeks old, but on arrival his care team noticed there was something not quite right with the poorly pup. Jaffa had to undergo lots of medical tests and was ultimately diagnosed with a liver shunt, a serious life-threatening condition in which blood bypasses the liver, preventing it from filtering toxins and absorbing vital nutrients. Within weeks, Jaffa had to undergo a major operation and went on to recover with a Battersea foster carer who gave him round-the-clock attention and care while he convalesced from surgery. Once Jaffa recovered from his operation, he was ready to find a home to call his own. But due to his ongoing medical needs, he needed owners who would be able to still support him with his special condition. It wasn't long until he found his forever home with Lynn and Andy, who both volunteer with the Isle of Wight Ambulance Service Care Dog Team. The service works to support ambulance crews and call handlers dealing with major trauma. Lynn and Andy were not only happy to provide the specialist care Jaffa needed, but they also saw potential in Jaffa to become a working care dog. Now fully trained and assessed, Jaffa works alongside his owners as one of the care dogs on the Isle of Wight, providing comfort, affection and a moment of calm for frontline staff working under immense pressure every day. Jaffa's new owner Lynn said, Jaffa's confident and affectionate nature made him a natural fit for the role, and after completing his training he now joins our other Battersea rescue dog Tilly, and a roster of other dogs on regular shifts, offering much needed emotional support to frontline workers. Victoria Wight, Director of Ambulance Service at Isle of Wight NHS Trust said, Jaffa is a wonderful example of how compassion and partnership can make a real difference to the well-being of our staff. Our crews and call handlers work under intense pressure, and the calm, comfort and connection our care dogs provide is invaluable. We are incredibly proud to have Jaffa as part of our team.
This is an article from the Island Echo, read by Terry. Island Mobility unveils refurbished Newport showroom after major investment. Island Mobility has completed a major refurbishment of its Newport showroom, creating a brighter, more modern space where islanders can see, try and compare mobility and independent living equipment before deciding what is right for them. The newly refurbished showroom has been designed around accessibility and customer comfort, with a larger assessment centre, dedicated product display areas and an increased range of fully functioning demonstration equipment. Customers can now get hands-on with a wide selection of products rather than having to make a decision without first experiencing how the equipment works or feels. The range includes walkers and rollators, manual wheelchairs, power chairs, mobility scooters, riser recliner chairs, profiling beds, stair lifts and through-floor home lifts. Visitors can test mobility products, try different riser recliners, experience profiling beds and see fully functioning stair lift demonstration units in action, meaning customers can compare different options and get a better understanding of what may suit their individual needs before making a purchase. A wide range of products is also held in stock, allowing many items to be purchased and taken away on the same day. For larger or more specialist equipment, the Island Mobility team can provide advice, assessments, demonstrations and guidance throughout the process. Accessibility has been an important part of the refurbishment, with plenty of level access at the showroom, as well as free customer parking and full air conditioning. The business says it wants visiting the showroom to be a relaxed experience, particularly as choosing mobility or independent living equipment can be a personal decision for customers and their families. Managing Director Marcus Horton said, "We wanted to make this investment not only in the business, but in the local community we serve. Our aim was to create a welcoming, friendly and comfortable space where people can come in, take their time and try mobility equipment for themselves. We know that looking for mobility equipment can sometimes feel daunting, so we want our showroom to be somewhere people feel comfortable asking questions, exploring their options and finding what is right for them. There is no pressure to make a purchase, with visitors welcome to browse, ask questions, try different options, and leave to consider their choices before making a decision." The refurbishment marks a continued investment in the long-established Isle of Wight business. Island Mobility was established in 1965 and has now served the Isle of Wight community for more than 60 years, combining decades of experience with an evolving range of mobility and independent living products. Whether someone needs a simple walking aid, a mobility scooter or wheelchair, specialist seating, or a larger home adaptation, such as a stair lift or through-floor lift, the revamped Newport showroom brings the different options together under one roof. Island Mobility welcomes customers to visit the showroom, meet the team, and try the equipment for themselves, whether they already know what they need or are only beginning to explore ways of making everyday life easier.
Hello, this is Steve reading a story from the Island Echo with the headline, 2-week road closure to bring travel disruption as bus stop upgrades begin. Motorists face significant travel disruption next month when part of the main A3056 between Newport and Sandown closes for 2 weeks for bus stop improvements, forcing traffic onto a lengthy diversion. Bus stops will be upgraded by Island Roads as part of the Isle of Wight Council's work to make the island's public transport network safer and more accessible. The project also involves lining adjustments, footway construction works and alterations to speed limits. The improvements have been funded by the Department for Transport as part of its Safer Roads programme, with Island Roads responsible for delivering the scheme. Bus stops on A3056 Sandown Road, Arreton outside Pyle Cottages and New Barn Business Park will be upgraded by increasing the hard standing areas so passengers can use services more safely. The work will begin on Monday 7th of September. It's scheduled to last 2 weeks, and while the programme can be subject to change due to factors such as bad weather and unexpected ground conditions, every effort will be made to complete the works sooner if possible. During the works, it will be necessary to close the road to ensure the safety of the workforce, with traffic diverted via Arreton, Apsheath, Godshill, Rookley and Blackwater. Island Roads will aim to reopen the roads at weekends if it is safe to do so. However, depending on the progress of the works, traffic lights may need to remain on site. Island Roads has already met with affected businesses and residents to discuss the work and consider measures that will reduce the impact on them. Local elected members have also been briefed. Michelle Love, Isle of Wight Council Service Director for Highways and Community Protection, said, "With bus transport being such an important part of our public transport network, we are delighted to be able to invest this grant money in making these bus stops along this busy route both safer and more accessible to use. if we are to reduce car usage, then the bus network has to be easy to use, which is why we are making these improvements that will bring benefits to residents, businesses and tourists. An Island Road spokesperson said, "We are pleased to be working with the Council to deliver these important improvements. We understand that during the works, motorists will have to use an alternative route, and we thank them in advance for their understanding. Hopefully, any short-term disruption will be offset by the benefits that make it easier and safer for bus users to get around will bring."
Hello, this is an article from the Island Echo, read by Sue. Support grows for 145 berth East Cowes Marina, despite fears over environmental harm. A contentious 145 berth leisure marina project in East Cowes Harbour is continuing to divide opinion this week after support is shown despite residents' fears. As previously reported by Island Echo in March this year, the Cowes Harbour Commission sought permission for a development including 145 floating berths arranged across pontoons, a 142-metre fixed access walkway and a main pontoon area measuring 120 metres by 220 metres, which is intended for both private annual berth holders and visiting vessels. Recently, maritime youth charity UKSA has expressed strong support for Cowes Harbour Commission's revised scheme, which would be access from East Cowes, but there are still concerns over ecological impacts. Earlier this year, East Cowes Town Council gave its qualified support to the proposal, subject to a planning condition relating to the design of proposed metalwork. On behalf of CHC, Rainey Petrie Architecture previously said the proposal delivers high-quality, resilient, modern marine infrastructure that enhances the East Cowes waterfront and strengthens the town's maritime role. Kat Dixon, CEO of UKSA, said in a letter to the County Hall, "The proposed marina would bring significant and practical safety benefits for UKSA's students, instructors and wider operational team. It will also improve the efficiency and quality of UKSA's programmes by allowing more time to be spent on the water, learning and developing skills, and less time spent on river transit." The proposal directly supports UKSA's charitable purpose by improving opportunities for children and young people on the Isle of Wight and beyond to access maritime education, outdoor learning and pathways into maritime careers. It will also strengthen East Cowes as a place where children and young people can safely, confidently and regularly access the water. However, East Cowes resident Susan Chubb claimed the applicant has treated the marine environment as an empty space, ignoring the complex, protected ecology within the seagrass and mudflaps. In a letter of objection to the Isle of Wight Council, she said, "The intersection of missing seahorse surveys with obsolete acoustic modelling means the Council is entirely blind to the ecological cost of this development." Another opponent, Dr. N. Folks, said that given the confirmed presence of seagrass and the clear, documented risks posed by the marina, he urges the Council to refuse the application or require a full, independent ecological assessment which properly evaluates seagrass impacts. The Environment Agency said at present it cannot be shown that the development would not result in significant harm to migratory fish species, and therefore it objects to the application as previously reported. In a planning statement on the project, Rainey Petrie Architecture said, "Environmental responsibility is embedded throughout, from the protection of sensitive marine habitats to the adoption of sustainable piling methods, reduced dredging impacts, downward directed lighting, and CHC's commitment to measurable carbon reduction. The marina is designed to adapt to sea level rise and climate change. ensuring resilience, longevity and low impact operation. County Hall's public consultation on the application will end on the 21st of August and a decision is expected on the 30th of October.
This is an article from Isle of Wight Radio, read by Terry. Southern Water faces ongoing Environment Agency objections over water recycling project. The Environment Agency, known as EA, has said it still has flood risk and ecology objections to Southern Water's latest Isle of Wight water recycling project plans. Consultancy Adams Hendry previously set out changes to the proposal, which includes a water recycling plant on land to the south of Sandown wastewater treatment works, a pipeline from the facility to the Eastern Yar, and an outfall. Alterations include amendments to the application site boundary to accommodate power installation works, carry out improvements to the junction of Greenwood Lane and the A3055 Morton Road, as well as for a temporary alternative footpath. The EA said, "We have reviewed the information submitted, and whilst our objections to the maintenance washout can be removed, our objections relating to flood risk and ecology are still applicable. We object to the outfall channel proposed as part of this planning application due to insufficient information regarding the proposed protruding lip, which forms a key component of the eel mitigation design. While we support the mitigation approach in principle, insufficient detail has been provided to assess whether the protruding lip and associated mitigation measures will function as intended." Adams Hendry previously said it is known that outfalls pose a low risk to eels, as, although they may enter outfall channels, they are usually able to navigate in and out, as they will be able to do in the proposed outfall at Alverstone. The EA also said there is still a lack of clarity regarding the flood risk to the College Close temporary construction compound. Adams Hendry's prior statement said the compound will remain operational and safe for users in times of flood because the compound would be evacuated in advance of a flood event and would not be used until floodwaters recede. County Hall's public consultation on Proposal 25/01619/FUL runs until August the 21st, and a decision is due on October the 26th.
Good morning, this is Valerie here reading.
And Tony is here as well.
The surgery to be turned into HMO. A former doctor's surgery in Newport will be converted into a 13-bed house in a multiple occupation HMO. County Hall has granted Rufus Owolabi's revised proposal for alterations and a change of use of 16 West Street in Newport consent after a previous bid was thrown out. Planners concluded that, subject to conditions, the scheme would complement, preserve and enhance the character of the Newport Conservation Area. The council received 6 letters of objection from neighbouring residents, raising concern including there being inadequate parking facilities, excessive noise and antisocial behaviour from residents and guests, and the development's cramped toilet facilities. A decision report says the development does not now appear cramped, and this is supported by the HMO licensing officer, who confirms that some of the rooms would be suitable for double occupancy, and therefore with one proposed use, HMO, this would now consolidate the use of the building without conflict arising, and would bring the redundant building back into use without overdevelopment or impact on future occupiers. Island Road said there were no issues of harm being caused to the highway network. Consent for the application comes with 7 conditions.
£957,000 used to enhance 2 bus services. 2 enhanced bus services for Newport will be introduced from October. The number 38 is to operate via Cedar Hill, Whitepit Lane and St John's Road between Carisbrooke and Newport bus station, while the 39 will run via stops including Carisbrooke High Street and Sylvan Drive, Sainsbury's. Developed by Southern Vectis after a review of existing Newport bus network and patronage data, the revised service proposals aim for better connectivity, accessibility and public transport provision across Newport, according to County Hall. The Council has said the enhanced 38 and 39 services are to run from October 2026 to the end of September 2031. A decision report says the proposals have been developed using passenger demand evidence and extensive engagement with the operator, local members, Newport and Carisbrooke Community Council, the Isle of Wight Bus and Rail Users Group and other stakeholders. The revised Route 38 proposal directly responds to identified demand on Whitepit Lane and strengthens access between residential communities and key destinations, including Newport Town Centre, Asda, Pan and Carisbrooke. Southern Vectis has said £957,000 in funding is needed for the 5-year period. The Isle of Wight Council has approved the issue of developer contributions earmarked for sustainable transport and public transport improvements to support the services.
How Did It Get So Bad? By Rufus Pickles. How did it get so bad? The Hampshire and Isle of Wight Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust has been asked after 2 watchdog reports concluding mental health services must improve. The public body faced questioning at County Hall last week after the Care Quality Commission, CQC, rated the Trust leadership community-based mental health services for adults of working age and mental health crisis services requires improvement. The Trust previously said it has responded positively and proactively to findings by the CQC in a paper published ahead of scrutiny by the Adult Social Care, Public Health and Housing Needs Committee. Councillor Claire Christensen, Green Party representative for Chale in Knighton and Shorewell, said, "I see you've been going through a lot of organisational change. It sounds like it's going in the right direction, but how did it get so bad? Why couldn't you make these changes then than you can now? Is it funding, staff changes? The lived experience out there is really poor, and people, if they've got an issue, are finding there's nowhere to turn." Earlier in the meeting, Councillor Carl Love, an independent who represents East Cowes, said he measures improvements by what his constituents tell him. And what they've been telling me is that over the last years things are getting worse, not better. I'm waiting for them to start telling me things that are improving, because that's what it's all about, the customer experience. Lucy Abel, Clinical Director for the Isle of Wight Division at Hampshire and Isle of Wight Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust, said Previously, there's been lots of incremental changes trying to fix things, and we've run out of road with that. The demand is too great. The money available to do it has got smaller. We have to change things much more fundamentally, which is why we keep mentioning transformation, because just tinkering isn't going to make the difference. What is helping to make the difference is, rather than us being one with mental health division, we are part of a larger mental health organisation with that expertise. We're trying to do wholesale change that is based on best practice. We do absolutely seek input from our service users. We get an annual survey and feedback from community mental health services.
Marching band will take part in prestigious event. A marching band will take part in one of London's oldest and most prestigious ceremonial events. Medina Marching Band has been invited to perform in the Lord Mayor's Show on Saturday, November the 14th, marking its 5th appearance at the event and capping off a year of 50th anniversary celebrations. Chair Kevin Downer said, "To be invited to take part in the Lord Mayor's Show for the 5th time in Medina's history, and to do so during our 50th anniversary year, is a tremendous honour for everyone connected with the band. It seems particularly fitting that our anniversary year began in London with the New Year's Day parade and will finish with us returning to the capital for the Lord Mayor's Show. The band's invitation follows a busy year of high-profile performances, including London Bank Week, where members marched along the Mall, past Buckingham Palace and on to Horse Guards Parade. As well as taking part in the New Year's Day parade, this year the band has hosted a 50th anniversary spring concert and staged a tattoo at Cowes Enterprise College featuring guest bands from the mainland and Ireland. The Lord Mayor's Show, which attracts thousands of spectators and is broadcast live on the BBC, features a procession of military units, marching bands, charities, community organisations and ceremonial groups through the City of London. Kevin said, "London Band Week was another major highlight. Performing in the London Tattoo and then taking part in the Palace Parade Review, marching along the Mall past Buckingham Palace and on to Horse Guards Parade was an experience our members will remember for many years to come. To now receive an invitation to return to London and participate in the Lord Mayor's Show is another fantastic achievement and demonstrates the reputation Medina has built up over many years. The band has performed at a number of mainland events throughout the year, including Swanage and Ringwood Carnival, while continuing to support community events across the Isle of Wight. Established in 1976, Medina Marching Band has spent 5 decades giving people of all ages the chance to learn music, perform and present the Isle of Wight on a wider stage."
Students jumping for joy after their GCSE success. Students from across the island have been celebrating after picking up their GCSE results yesterday. Pupils have been praised for their years of dedication, determination and hard work. Many are now moving on to further education, training, apprenticeships or employment. Councillor Ross Freeman, Chair of the Children's Services, Education and Skills Committee, said this is a significant achievement and reflects the hard work, commitment and resilience shown throughout their studies. Results Day can bring a mixture of emotions, and for some, the outcomes may not be what they had hoped for. I want all young people to know that there is support available and many different routes to success. Ashley Whitaker, Strategic Director for Children's Services, said, "These qualifications are an important milestone, but they do not define a young person's future. I would also like to recognise the outstanding efforts of our schools, colleges and education professionals whose commitment helps young people to thrive and achieve their potential."
Shoplifter claimed he forgot to pay. A man who claimed he forgot to pay for items taken from TK Maxx has been ordered to pay more than £300 after admitting shoplifting. Lee Michael Canning of St Michael's Avenue, Ryde, appeared before the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on Friday, August 14th. The 41-year-old admitted shoplifting in Newport on November the 29th last year. Canning entered TK Maxx and purchased a pair of boxer shorts before continuing to walk around the store, selecting additional items worth £52.95 and leaving the store without paying for them, said Serena Edwards, prosecuting. The goods were never recovered. The court heard police had initially considered dealing with the matter by way of an out-of-court disposal. However, Canning could not be contacted, leading to him being charged and later arrested to bring him before the court. His previous convictions include a drink driving offence from November 2023. For Canning, Jim Osborne said his client maintained he had simply forgot to pay for the items and was willing to return to the store to settle the cost of the goods. After hearing the case, magistrates fined Canning £133. He was also ordered to pay £85 cost, a £53 surcharge and $52.95 compensation.
Council says restaurant was operating illegally by John Moreno. A seaside restaurant which closed just 4 months after opening was flouting food hygiene legislation by operating without registering as a food business the whole time, the Isle of Wight Council has confirmed. Les Gout de la Mer on Culver Parade Sandown temporarily shut its doors recently after its owners received independent professional health and safety advice regarding the premises. The restaurant's owners, Hannah and Alexander Bourgeot, have stressed the closure is not related to food hygiene issues and that they remain committed to reopening. Following the county press's report on the closure, the Isle of Wight Council provided further details about the business's failure to register as a food business. A council spokesperson said all food businesses are legally required to register with their local authority at least 28 days before starting food operations. Registration helps the council maintain an accurate record of food businesses operating in the area and ensures they receive the appropriate food hygiene oversight and regulatory interventions. Failure to register is an offence under food hygiene legislation, specifically Article 6.2 of Regulation EC number 852-2004 on the hygiene of foodstuffs. However, it is generally considered a lower-level administrative offence and does not in itself indicate an immediate risk to food safety, continued the council spokesperson. The authority previously told the county press that Les Gout de la Mer had not registered as a food business and therefore had not been inspected by the council's food safety team or awarded a food hygiene rating. It added that the restaurant's closure was not the result of a food hygiene intervention. The county press contacted the restaurant's owners after receiving the council's latest comments, asking whether the authority had been in touch, whether the business had since been registered and when it intended to reopen. No response was received at the time of going to press. The closure comes during what should have been the restaurant's busiest period of the year. Hannah previously told the county press, "Our priority is the safety of our customers and staff, and we remain fully committed to reopening the restaurant as soon as we are satisfied it is safe and appropriate to do so." In a Facebook statement, the couple also added, "As tenants of the building, circumstances relating to the premises outside our control mean we must temporarily close."
Care home still empty 5 months after a £2.5 million refurbishment. A £2.5 million care home remains empty more than 5 months after it officially opened. Lakeview Care Home, formerly Blackwater Mill, is still awaiting approval from the Care Quality Commission, CQC. It means no one is able to move into the 54-bed home, even though there is a shortage of care beds island-wide. The Isle of Wight Council has confirmed it remains unavailable to commission or deliver care and support there. English Oak Care Homes bought the home for £2 million last year and invested £2.5 million upgrading it. High Sheriff Nigel Hartley was at a ribbon-cutting ceremony in April to officially open the home, and the county press was invited along. The first residents were due to move in during May. Families had hoped the opening of the home would alleviate some of the pressures caused by the care crisis on the island, which has seen residents moved to the mainland. In June, Lakeview home manager Jess McGovern told the CP that they were naturally disappointed with the delay but remained hopeful the process would be completed soon. At the time, she said, "While the home is ready, we must support the CQC's required assessment and registration procedures, which are subject to their own timescales." The county press contacted Lakeview for an updated comment, but had not received one at the time of going to press. The rooms are still empty. The CQC has confirmed to the county press the assessment is progressing and the provider is aware. The CQC website says its registration process is rigorous and can take a few months. It states that after receiving the application, it will be processed in 2 stages: initial checks and assessment. The process ends with either a Notice of Decision, NOD, which grants the application, or a Notice of Proposal, NOP, which refuses it or grants it with conditions. Before Lakeview, the home was Blackwater Mill, which closed following a series of damning CQC inspections, rating it inadequate and exposing serious failings in care.
A vessel sinks in the river after the owner and dog were evacuated, by Zach Saunders. A 59-foot pleasure boat has sunk in the River Medina just days after its owner and his dog were evacuated by Isle of Wight lifeboat crews. MV Salute, a former dive charter vessel, was almost 6 decades at sea, is partly submerged in Silo Creek in front of the Isle of Wight grain silos. Drone photographs taken on Monday show the vessel sitting low in the water inside an orange inflatable boom. An emergency wreck marking buoy has been deployed. Cowes Harbour Commission has warned mariners to navigate with extreme caution in the area. The latest incident follows an emergency response involving Cowes RNLI earlier this month. At about 8:45 p.m. on Sunday, August the 9th, the lifeboat was called to a vessel taking on water. The owner and his dog were evacuated as the lifeboat crew worked with the Ryde Fire Station, Needles Coast Guard, rescue team and the Cowes Harbour Master. Crews pumped water from the vessel and tried to move it safely upriver overnight. Salute had reportedly travelled from Hamble before being taken to Trinity Landing in Cowes. It was later seen further upriver in Silo Creek, where it has since partially sunk. On Friday, Cowes Harbour Commission issued a local notice to mariners about the sinking boat in Silo Creek. The Commission said, "The boat is visible during all states of the tide, and an orange inflatable boom has been placed around the boat. An emergency wreck marking buoy has been deployed to mark the eastern extremity of the wreck. All mariners are advised to navigate in the vicinity of Silo Creek with extreme caution and proceed with minimum wash." It is not the first time Salute has needed rescuing. On October the 3rd, Bembridge RNLI helped after the vessel ran aground on rocks near St Helens Fort. Seeing the vessel partly submerged has devastated its former owners. Technical diving pioneer Al Wright and his wife Frida, a diver and trained chef, ran Salute for more than 30 years through their diving and charter company Sea Leopard. The couple said, "You can imagine how sick to our stomachs we were seeing this. She was a charter boat and full live aboard, and for so many years she was a huge part of our lives. She carried thousands of divers, took us on countless adventures, and was our home at sea for many weeks at a time. She never let us down. We looked after her, and she always looked after us and our divers. So many wonderful memories, friendships and stories were made aboard her. Seeing her like this is incredibly sad."
Rain triggers storm overflow discharges. Southern Water has responded to concerns about storm overflow releases off the island's coast after 3 bathing alerts were issued by the environmental agencies. Islanders were told not to swim at Gurnard, Shanklin and Bembridge on Wednesday. The environmental agency has since lifted the advice, which came off the back of the first rainfall in weeks. Storm overflows are designed to operate during periods of heavy rainfall to help prevent the sewer network from backing up and flooding homes, businesses and roads. Islanders took to social media to point out the rain was not heavy and claimed the system was not fit for purpose. Southern Water said it is investing money to reduce the reliance on them and said the hot weather has not helped. Long periods of hot weather can result in the ground becoming hard and rainfall running off rather than being absorbed. This can lead to large volumes of surface water entering combined sewer systems and increase pressure on the network. A Southern Water spokesman said, "We understand the public concern around storm overflows and are committed to reducing our reliance on them through our £1.5 billion Clean Rivers and Seas plan, which has already prevented hundreds of storm overflow releases in its first year. We're investing $341 million to reduce storm overflows, including recently announced £20 million scheme to reduce them at Newport, Gurnard, West and East Cowes and Ryde."
A new chapter awaits for former hardware shop by Zach Saunders. A former W. Hurst & Son hardware store in Ventnor is set for a new lease of life after being inquired by an Isle of Wight solicitors firm. Wilkes Price Hounslow Solicitors, which currently has an office in Ryde, has announced plans to open its second island office at the former High Street Hurst premises. Firm owner Gabriella Goffey bought the premises and plans to open the office in early November. The move follows the closure of a long-standing Hearst hardware store which had traded in Ventnor since 1963. The retailer announced the closure earlier this year, citing falling sales and footfall, changing shopping habits and rising costs. Wilkes Price Hounslow now plans to restore the landmark premises while retaining links to its former occupant. Miss Goffey plans to preserve the building's original features by exposing the brass and timber shopfront and restoring the frames to their original hardwood. Plans also include reinstating interior wood panelling and retaining the familiar Hearst signage. Work has been underway since May, leaving residents guessing about the building's new owner and future use. The Ventnor branch will offer conveyancing, family law, wills, lasting powers of attorney, and probate services to clients across Ventnor and the wider South Wight. The firm also hopes the premises can have a wider community role. A self-contained shop space could be offered at an affordable rate for activities, meetings and coffee mornings, helping residents and businesses in the town. Miss Goffey said the expansion followed a busy start to 2026, with several new staff joining the firm's Ryde office. Joni Adey, who previously worked for the firm between 2004 and 2006 as a legal cashier, has returned to take on practice management responsibilities. Paula Griffiths, a Silex paralegal, has joined the conveyancing department, while paralegal Laura Coombs is supporting its family team. Miss Goffey said, "I was delighted to expand the team as it was giving up the extra capacity to continue to react and meet clients' needs, but with added flexibility a bigger team brings. The firm continues to meet high standards of client care, as well as giving me renewed inspiration for further expansion."
New festival a success, say organisers. A new festival has been hailed as a success by the organisers. The inaugural East Cowes Festival brought residents, visitors, artists and community groups together for a weekend of entertainment and celebration. The festival featured a packed programme of music, art and community activities for all ages. Tracy Reardon, Mayor of East Cowes, said, "I'm incredibly proud of what our community has achieved through the first East Cowes Festival. The response from residents and visitors has been overwhelmingly positive, and it has been wonderful to see so many people enjoying the event together." The festival was made even more special by the Cowes Week 200th anniversary celebrations, including the magnificent fireworks display which was enjoyed by so many people. I would like to offer my heartfelt thanks to all of the artists, performers and community groups who gave their time so generously, as well as our volunteers, events committee and town council staff whose collective efforts made the festival possible. This event has truly showcased the strength of community spirit in East Cowes, and I hope it will be remembered as the first of many successful festivals for our town.
A granddaughter assault denial. A pensioner has denied assaulting her granddaughter by allegedly punching, scratching and biting her before jabbing her with a crutch. Merrill Brown of Monk's Lane in Freshwater appeared before the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on Friday, August the 14th. As the 77-year-old pleaded not guilty to assault, occasioning actual body harm. The court heard Mrs. Brown is accused of attacking her granddaughter on June the 8th near the Kia garage in Northwood. It is alleged she punched, scratched and bit her granddaughter, as well as jabbing her with a crutch. Magistrates accepted jurisdiction to deal with the case, but Mrs. Brown elected for it to be heard in the Isle of Wight Crown Court. She was granted conditional bail and is due to appear for a hearing on September the 14th.
A fraudster has been jailed after committing a string of theft, fraud and criminal damage offences. Kieran Thompson, aged 30, of Harding Road in Ryde, appeared before the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court on Tuesday, August the 4th, when he admitted 3 further offences of criminal damage, theft by finding and breaching a suspended sentence order. He had already admitted 4 frauds by false representation, 3 shop thefts, 2 thefts from vehicles, making off without payment, and theft by finding. Between April and June, Thompson stole from shops and vehicles using stolen bank cards and skipped a taxi fare. Prosecutor Christiane Findlay called the offences opportunistic. Among his offences were theft of 4 boxes of Lego worth £275 from B&M in Newport, theft of £50 worth of washing tablets from Co-op in Shanklin, theft of an honesty box containing around £15 in Shanklin, and theft of a 30-gram pouch of tobacco at a Shanklin property. The Shanklin homeowner said in a victim statement she was scared and worried about reporting Thompson, who likes to bully people when he does not get his own way. The court also heard Thompson's targeted vehicles to obtain bank cards. On April the 29th, he stole a wallet containing bank cards and about £15 from a Newport vehicle, then made 2 separate £10 purchases at pan stores using the cards. On June 13th, he stole a purse containing bank cards and a driving licence from a Ryde vehicle. Later that day, he used 1 stolen card to buy food at McDonald's in Ryde and tried to buy items at JD Sports and Sports Direct in Newport. In March, Thompson received a 4-month prison sentence, suspended for 18 months after offences including biting a man's ear during a fight, stealing £800 worth of fragrances, and taking an RSPCA charity collection tin. The new offences breached that suspended sentence order. Probation told the court Thompson's compliance was low and he had missed every appointment since late March. Defending, Oscar Vincent called the crimes low-level offences involving unsophisticated frauds. Mr. Vincent said Thompson had been unstable and unsupported but wanted to re-engage with probation and work with his father as a painter and decorator. Magistrates activated Thompson's suspended 4-month terms and added a consecutive 10-week sentence.
Theatre Students Hit the High Notes by William Dalgleish. A group of musical theatre students from the island have succeeded in a national competition. The students reached the All England Dance Finals, competing in the musical theatre category. It was a special achievement in light of the recent closure of their dance school. The standout moment was their final group piece, Chaos at the Hairdressers, which was awarded 3rd. Teachers Susie Morris and Polly McGregor said, "We are incredibly proud of every single one of our students. To make the finals was an achievement in itself, and to then come away with such high scores and a 3rd place for Chaos at the Hairdressers was an incredible way to finish this chapter. We are so grateful to Fusion Arts Academy for supporting us and making it possible for our students to continue competing.
A piece of lovingly restored Edwardian heritage has been blessed in a ceremony of thanksgiving. The historic Lichgate at Christchurch in Totland Bay received a blessing on August the 16th following extensive repairs helped by a public appeal. The Reverend Jackie Moore, who led the blessing, said, "Gracious and eternal God, we thank you for this gateway, a place where memories are honoured and where love is spoken in quiet ways." Craftsman Mick Civil of G.J. Banks Limited, who carried out the restoration, was joined at the ceremony by his wife Jill Banks, the surveyor and project manager. He described unexpected challenges during the work. He said there was almost no brickwork under it, just plants and soil. Instead of mortar, just roots. Jill said, "I was first asked to quote for the work 8 years ago, so it's been a long time coming. Around £2,000 was raised through a public appeal towards the total cost of around £10,000. The Lichgate was built in 1906, designed by prolific designer and architect of churches and war memorials Percy Goddard Stone, born in 1856, died 1934. It is dedicated to the memory of Frederick Wildman Burnett. Inside, as well as a dedication to Burnett, a somewhat historically dubious plaque states that the wood used was taken from the timbers of HMS Thunderer, a 74-gun vessel which fought on the Lee Line at Trafalgar. As well as playing an important part in the history of Christchurch, being featured in many a wedding photograph, the structure is part of an Edwardian collection by Stone that includes the churches at St Mark's, Wootton and St Faith's Cowes. He also led the restoration of the gatehouse of Carisbrooke Castle, which now houses the museum, and afterwards of the castle itself. Stone was more than just an architect and designer. He was an enthusiastic celebrant of all things Ireland, including its local dialect, in which he wrote a regular newspaper column under the pseudonym Granfer Isaac.
Sentences for a trio involved in Newark murder disorder by Christiana Magaglio. 3 people who hurled projectiles at police during the disorder that followed the death of Henry Newark have avoided immediate custody. Callum Cool, 18, of Southampton, and Isle of Wight residents Tegan Sims, 19, and Bethany Davis, 23, admitted violent disorder at Southampton Crown Court. They now have been sentenced. More than 1,000 people gathered outside Southampton Central Police Station on June the 2nd to protest the police treatment and arrest of 18-year-old student Henry Newark following his fatal stabbing. As tensions escalated, hundreds marched to Portswood, where clashes with police broke out. Prosecutor Siobhan Lindsley said Cool threw a drinks can, a bottle and a bin at officers. He was 17 at the time and turned 18 4 days later. Sims and Davis, who went to the disorder together, also threw objects at police. Footage filmed by a YouTuber and shown in court captured the pair being interviewed during the unrest. One said, "Justice for Henry." Asked about police, one replied, "They should have done a better job because that is what they are paid for at the end of the day." Miss Lindsley said Davis had a previous conviction for kicking 2 police officers when she was 18. Referring to Sims and Davis, she added, "Quite clearly, they are egging each other on." The court heard that Cool of Binyah Green in Southampton, Sims of Purdy Road in Carisbrooke, and Davis of Holmes Court, Tennyson Road, Yarmouth, had all pleaded guilty at the earliest opportunity. Tom Evans, mitigating for Cool and Sims, said both had shown remorse and were willing to work with probation and had no previous convictions. Bridget O'Hagan, mitigating for Davis, said her client had been traumatised by her time in custody after her arrest and had learning difficulties and ADHD and autism. She added, "With the greatest respect, she has absolutely no understanding of what two-tier justice is." Judge William Mousley KC suspended all 3 custodial sentences, citing their youth and personal circumstances. Cool was sentenced to 16 months in a young offender institution, suspended for 2 years, and must complete 150 hours of unpaid work and obey a 6-month curfew. Sims was sentenced to 20 months in a young offender institution, suspended for 2 years, and must complete 120 hours of unpaid work, abstain from alcohol for 120 days, and undertake 20 rehab days. Davis was sentenced to 2 years in a young offender institution, suspended for 2 years, and must complete 120 hours of unpaid work, abstain from alcohol for 120 days, undertake 30 rehab days, and obey a 1-year curfew.
Palmerston's diplomacy rescue. William Wilberforce Day is on August 24th. He led the British Parliament's fight to end the transatlantic slave trade. The West African Squadron was formed by the Royal Navy to enforce Wilberforce's law. It took many years to stop the slave transportation. Wilberforce never lived to witness an extraordinary international event which required the diplomatic intervention of Lord Palmerston in 1841. Most remembered locally for his Palmerston Follies, the Solent forts, he stepped in as Defence Minister to secure the release of Midshipman Jackson of East Cowes, built brig Waterwitch. Joseph Wight's famous Royal Naval ship Waterwitch was on West African Squadron patrols when Henry Jackson boarded Tigris. Waterwitch Commander Lieutenant Matson had intelligence that American merchant vessel Tigris had an African cabin boy aboard. Matson sent Jackson and 7 crew to conduct lawful inspection under the Navy's right to search anti-slavery laws. Jackson boarded and asked to see the cabin boy. The Tigris captain, Nathan Fry of Salem, protested that the boy was aboard willingly. The lad spoke no English. Jackson disputed Fry's claim, put him and most of his crew ashore. They returned to America unconfined. Jackson and his crew took command of Tigris plus 4 retained Tigris men. They sailed it across the Atlantic to Salem for adjudication by the law courts. On arrival, Jackson stayed to testify on behalf of the British Caesar on violation of the United States law against the slave trade. He never expected his own arrest later. Newspapers on both sides of the Atlantic covered the lengthy, controversial case. In September 1840, one American paper expressed anger. On a groundless suspicion of being engaged in the slave trade, the English Navy has used every frivolous pretext to make forcible seizure and detention of our merchant ships. It will lead to serious trouble. Another editorial voiced heated outrage at the Royal Navy for piratical behaviour with an intention to drive American traders from the coast. Such petty insolence, increasing in frequency, demands the immediate notice of our Yankee government. When Fry's case came to court in Boston in January 1841, Lieutenant Matson's letter to the registrar of the American court named the boy as Hemi. He is a native of Guilnguise near Benguela, from where he was forcibly taken by the crew of the Tigris. He was being transported to St. Thomas's, having been sold to a merchant there whose property he now is.
A Boston newspaper reported sympathetically of Hemi. The Tigris crew are charged with having in their possession on the coast of Africa a slave boy, contrary to United States laws. The boy appears bright and intelligent, but the snow and the courtroom terrified him. He wept heartily and believes he is to be fattened up for the table. The defence was that Captain Fry is a young man on his first voyage as master. Tigris is owned by Brookhouse and Hunt, engaged in the African trade for many years, who deny knowledge of Hemi's transportation. It was confirmed that Fry's cargo, 20,000 pounds of ivory and a quantity of coffee, was not disturbed by Jackson's crew. The trial was postponed until a Portuguese interpreter could give Hermes evidence in English. Fry, Brookhouse and Hunt were bailed at $500 each. When next in court, Fry's defence letter sent to Matson admitted some guilt. Fry had exchanged one African boy for another, owned by different men in different ports. His ship's documents did not match this. He told his crew to lie for him. Fry apologized. "I am aware this will lead to great censure in the United States." The court discharged the Tigris crew, except for Fry and first mate Burnham. Fry was bailed on $3,000, Burnham on $1,500. Their circuit court trial was set for May. Hemi stayed in the charge of the district marshal. British newspapers supported the legal right of the Royal Navy and Jackson to carry out their duties. Then Jackson was arrested. The 4 Tigris men used as crew by Jackson brought a civil case against him. They claimed he'd brought them home in custody and wanted $4,000 in damages. His $8,000 bail was guaranteed by Her British Majesty's Consul, about $1 million today. Jackson's defence was he acted on orders and was not personally liable. America vehemently disputed the legal right to search claim. Official top-level letters were exchanged between the two nations. It became a matter debated in Parliament. Lord Palmerston began diplomatic efforts to resolve the inflamed situation. In June, a Boston paper reported bitterly, "The grand jury decided evidence against the Tigris was so shallow that Fry and Burnham were found not guilty. Nevertheless, America is obliged to pay 8 cents a mile to Mr. Jackson for the distance from Africa to New York and home to England, 7,000 to 8,000 miles. Also $1.25 a day for witness fees. A fine speculation, this suppression of the slave trade." Jackson walked free and returned home to Portsmouth to resume his naval duties. In his absence, Waterwitch, under Matson's command, had continued anti-slavery patrols. They freed hundreds more like the young boy called Hemi. Joseph White's East Cowes Yard built more Royal Navy vessels. Prime Minister Palmerston built his chain of forts in the 1860s. The West African Squadron lost 1,600 Royal Navy servicemen in the Long Sea Battle to end the slave trade. and they are remembered here on William Wilberforce Day.
Jonathan Bacon, the leader of the Isle of Wight Council, gives us an article headed "Priority is to hear the voices of younger people." Despite it being the middle of August and there being few public meetings, there is still plenty of activity behind the scenes at County Hall. Following the elections earlier this year, councillors are setting their priorities to guide the new council for the next 3 years in the new corporate plan. The plan will set the basis for dealing with some of the issues we need to address. At the top of the list will be the ongoing battle to ensure our financial situation is sustainable, as well as our need to deal with the issues affecting our roads, our water supply and our connectivity to the mainland. However, one of the key issues that is becoming increasingly apparent, and which was highlighted in Richard Quigley's column last week, is the need to ensure the adequacy of support and opportunity for our young people on the island and the ability to hear and receive their views. We have a demographic that is very skewed to the older section of the population. This creates issues for our sustainability as an island, but also is increasingly having the effect of minimising and marginalising the views and needs of those under 30. This affects a wide range of issues, from work experience and opportunities to mental health support and housing. Part of the problem is that younger voices are not sought or welcomed as much as they should be. You only have to look at the Isle of Wight councillors and the members and attendees of our many parish and town council to see this illustrated. Without supporting our younger people to live and work on the island and become active parts of our local communities, our local economy will suffer, and the ability to support and maintain the whole range of the population will diminish. I therefore hope to see a key priority of the Isle of Wight Council going forward being to rebalance things so that the young are better supported and also more active within our local communities and our local politics. This will put us in a position where we become stronger as an island community and as an economic community, and we will be better placed to deal with the many challenges we face.
Will Modern Day Event Ever Capture Its Former Glory? By Josh Barry. Despite being a world-renowned sailing regatta celebrating the best in competitive maritime racing, there's of course another significant side of Cows Week. Growing up, the week-long event was always one of the highlights of my summer, with a seemingly endless roster of exciting events taking place in the Cows Yacht Haven. It was essentially a holiday on your doorstep, delivering music, varied cuisine and lots of racing. Yet as I got older and distant memory of these magical Cows Weeks had made me question whether I'm just being nostalgic. Fond memories of the legendary Locals Night, which took place every Thursday before Cows Week, would always bring the young community together as we waited in utter awe and anticipation for the nightclub to open in the Yacht Haven. There was always something positively tribal about queuing up alongside everyone you knew to be let into the William Bartholomew's Mount Gay nightclub. We thought this was the height of nightlife until Mahekiti opened in 2010, which resulted in some more memorable evenings. The feeling of being together with everyone you know and love in a safe environment, surrounded by music, is one of the best in life, and Mahekiti was able to define this for me. I have attended many festivals around the UK, and I'm always struck by their ability to weave the geographical location into their very identity. The Hay Festival, for example, makes use of its picturesque landscape to help tell stories, or the Crosswires Festival in Sheffield opens the 4-day event throughout the whole city so that spectators can indulge in different aspects of its cultural traditions. However, I feel that Cowes Week has in fact gone backwards in its approach to appealing to residents of the island. Luckily, Northwood's House impressive lineup for Wight proms has thankfully partially filled in such a void. The evergreen Jasper Carrot rolled back the years on Sunday, August the 2nd, when he performed to a full house in the grounds of Northwood House, which provided the perfect start to the week. Yet part of me is still in a state of mourning for Cowes Weeks of my youth, when it was entirely possible to spend several days on Cowes Marina and Parade without ever seeing the same thing twice. I fully appreciate that the main purpose of the event is the sailing regatta, and all amusements needs to be carefully planned around the races. After all, Cowes Week brings a substantial boost to the island economy, and there's an argument to suggest that without it, Cowes High Street might not even exist today. However, whether it's nostalgia or rose-tinted glasses view of my youth, I just can't help feeling somewhat underwhelmed by the modern version of the significant festival. So, as the sun set recently on another week of racing, I ask myself, will Cowes Week ever be able to capture its former glory? Or am I purely searching for something that was never there in the first place?
Vectis Brass Band have a concert at 8 o'clock in the evening, taking place at Rylstone Gardens Bandstand. It's a free outdoor concert.
Live music from JC and Angelina at 3 p.m. Join us at Goddard's Brewery for an afternoon of exceptional live music at JC and Angelina as they return to the brewery on Bank Holiday Monday, the 31st of August at Goddard's Brewery, Brandstone. Events Goddard's at powdermonkeygroup.com. If you want the phone number, it's 01983 611 011.
There will be an illustrated talk on the Lymington to Yarmouth ferry given by Dr. Alan Doe at Freshwater Methodist Church, 2 Brookside Road, Freshwater, at 7 o'clock on the 1st of September. There's a telephone number for you, which is 07410 704 060.
Thursday, 3-9, free state pension and benefits drop-in session with DWP is at 10:30 a.m. The free DWP drop-in session helping the Isle of Wight residents understand pension credit, state pension and financial support, and even job search support in later life. Lord Lewis Library of 44 Orchard Street, Newport. One letter here by Helen Butler, White Squirrel Project. People keep telling me I'm retiring from Red Squirrel work. How did they get that idea? All I'm doing is stepping down as a trustee and therefore chair of the Isle of Wight Red Squirrel Trust. I am still managing and restoring the woodland for the Trust. The White Squirrel Project and Trust are still partners and working together. I am also chair of the Isle of Wight Red Squirrel Forum. As the Trust is in a good place and I'm more involved with science projects, stepping down as a trustee will free up a bit of time for the other Red Squirrel jobs. I'll probably keep going until I drop. Meanwhile, the Isle of Wight Red Squirrel Trust is in good hands with Nick Gurney, champion, and the other dedicated trustees. The White Squirrel Project has a number of studies in the pipeline, and the first is another one for the citizen scientists. Last year I asked about red squirrels seen in the middle of Ryde, and the response was great, with sightings from all parts of the island. Thank you all. Although there are some lovely gardens with mature trees in the town, the squirrels were not regular visitors, but are in areas such as Apley and St John's Park. The next question for all of you citizen scientists out there is about East Wight red squirrel genetics being slightly different to West Wight. It is noticeable that the reds with greyish coats are more often seen in West Wight, so this question is about coat colour. In any part of the island, do you see or have in your garden a red squirrel with a greyish coat? If so, please contact me. And this is all lower casing, and it's all one word, whitesquirrels@hotmail.com, or go to the website and fill in the online form at www.whitesquirrels.co.uk.
Penelope Baker of Lake comes up with an energy hub idea and says she has just picked up the county press 17th of July this year. Mr. Devlin, your columnist, writes, supporting an island electricity grid, indeed a renewable energy hub on the island, is what should happen. Sadly, Mr. Devlin, whilst noting how windy the island is, did not mention that the Labour government is, as a priority, had lifted the ban on onshore wind turbines. Mr. Devlin should read the island planning strategy approved in 2025. I was the only objector at the 2025 hearings, objecting to the fact that no land allocations were made for wind. Land is necessary for wind turbines. Sadly, 2026 modifications to the plan, encouraged by the luxury housing lobby, removed the sequential risk test, allowing greenfield or floodplain development to be opened up immediately, sadly not for renewable energy. Once again, I have objected.
I Love Being a Citizen Scientist by Naomi Wright of Newport. On August the 12th, after the eclipse, I joined Ian Outlaw and James Halesley for a light trap and release session at West Highdown. The air was alive with moths and meteors. The first thing I did was a circuit of the clearings, bushes, listening to the varied stridulation of different nocturnal cricket species. That week I had been observing grasshoppers and crickets, learning their calls and targeting likely locations. Stridulation is sound produced by rubbing together body parts, in this case wings, to attract females and establish territory. I had been chuffed following my ears to find a responsibly rare stripe-winged grasshopper with its long pulsating high sewing machine-like sound. I'd even tried imitating it, hoping that it might encourage one to hop towards me, as sometimes works with birds. As we were packing up, I spotted a cricket on the ground that I hadn't photographed previously. Earlier, I'd been shown a photo of Eumedicorygrialis bordigalensis, a common name, verge cricket, that entomologist friend Mark Telfer had discovered in Ventnor at 10 p.m, just hours before, making him the third person in Britain to do so. It had first seen or been heard in Britain on July the 13th in Sussex, which was later caught and confirmed. Second, on August the 9th in Portland, I took a quick photograph, and Ian caught it expertly after my beady eyes watched it hop thrice. I knew what it could be, but told myself it was more likely a house cricket, an Auchita domesticus. I had been witnessing some rare migrants this year, for instance, the Queen of Spain, fritillaries, that had caused quite a stir. While climate change means we will sadly lose some of our ingenious species, there is also the excitement of new ones arriving and populating if conditions are right. I'm out every day, observing, photographing, inputting, learning eagerly. I had started my wanderings 2 years previously, becoming an avid birder. I learned bird calls using the app Merlin, an amazing tool for bird ID. I had beginner's luck here too, finding a woodchat strike in braiding. I was often told that during the quieter birding months of June, July, I might turn to butterflies and dragonflies instead. This year, I certainly got the bug. First, I photographed all the island's butterfly species. Then, using the app Naturalist One, I soon racked up hundreds of insect species. The next day I received a message from Ian saying it had been released and indeed confirmed by Peter Sutton, co-author of Field Guide to Grasshoppers and Allies of Great Britain and Ireland, Azemodicogryllus bordigalensis. I'm over the moon. I love being a citizen scientist and encourage people to get out there in nature, enjoying its meditative health benefits and recording findings to add to research and therefore conservation. You will never run out of things to see with the diversity of insects. You could even have a rarity in your own garden.
Robert Drover of Freshwater raises an issue about a 40-mile-an-hour limit. He says, with yet more serious road traffic incidents being reported almost daily, is it not time for the authorities to review all Isle of Wight road signage and speed limits and consider warning signage for visitors at ferry ports? For those who might question this proposition, may I suggest a ride on the buses? Bus drivers have to brake so often because of oncoming vehicles coming at speed towards them and their passengers. Please note, the passengers do not wear safety belts. Hats off to all Southern Vectis drivers, you really do earn your pay. Many bus routes are along narrow roads with high hedges, further reducing visibility, with some so high that not even from the top deck is it possible to see beyond them. Additionally, our road verges are overgrown, narrowing available road width yet more, endangering both cyclists and walkers. And signage and even traffic lights are often obscured by vegetation. Island roads are different. Again, my plea is for an overall 40-mile-an-hour limit. How many more people need to be maimed or to die?
This is the end today, and I will say goodbye. It's Val here, and I will see you next time.
And Tony hopes you've enjoyed our reading today. Have a good week. The BBC In Touch programme follows. There is no scaffolding news this week.
Vectis Radio.
Got Chris Kane and Sam here from the site for Wight. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
How are we both?
We are well. We're both very well.
You're both very well.
Yes.
Are we sure? You didn't sound very sure.
It's too hot.
It is too hot.
Yeah, it is too hot, yeah.
Yes.
You come to talk to us about stuff. What stuff have you got?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to talk about the stuff that I really enthuse about talking about, and that's the short story writing competition.
What happened again?
Yeah, back for the 11th year.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so this year's theme is love, hope, courage.
Right.
Okay.
So
That's a nice theme.
that's going to get, you see, you could write something about all three
Yes.
or just one. So we think that'll get people thinking, get their thinking caps on,
Yeah.
and come up with, again, some cracking stories.
So did you say it has to be about all those things or one of those
One
things?
of those things, just, you know, or
Or
just
those intertwined? Or?
you could intertwine them. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all three of those are actually really broad things, so they could, especially if you include all of them, it could actually become a really broad it gives you lots of what's it called? Lots of
Scope.
Scope.
Is that the word? Scope?
Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Right.
It gives you lots of
Scope's a good word.
So short story. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, how long the story's got to be?
Well, again, depending on the category.
Yes.
So 18 adults, so 18 plus,
Yeah.
is 1,500 to 2,000 words.
Yeah.
Then we have 12 to 17s, which is up to 750 words.
Right.
8 to 11s up to 500 words.
Yes.
And then the under 8s up to 250 words.
Right.
Now, that's quite a short story.
It is quite a short story.
Not as short as the 4-year-old one. Do you remember?
Oh, Freddie.
Yes.
That was the first or second
Yeah.
year that we did that competition.
Did a very short story, didn't he?
At the Minster, yeah, it was about 4 lines, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And it was Katie Manning that read the story,
Yeah.
the celebrity at the time. So yeah, well done, Maggie. That's
I remember those things.
yeah.
Load of rubbish I remember.
Thanks.
So, is it open now or is it opening soon?
It's open. Yeah, we opened a couple of weeks ago. So
Right.
it's on the website, Facebook. So if you want get an entry form, you can get it online. Go into our website, siteforwight.org.uk.
Yep.
You can email me, Chris, admin@iwsb.org.uk. You can go into Waterstones, pick up a form, or you can go into Dress for Less and pick up a form.
Okay.
Okay, and how much is it to enter?
It is for adults. It is £8 per
Right.
story,
Yeah.
and for under 18s, it is a suggested donation of £2.
Right.
So no one
Okay.
is expected to pay, but if you can afford the £2, wonderful.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world if you can't.
So,
Okay.
how can they submit it? Is it in type on paper or is it emailed?
Yeah, you can. Obviously, they can type. We prefer people to type the story. We do still have a few people that handwrite their stories,
Oh, right.
which is it's quite nice. Some people have
Yes.
beautiful handwriting.
They do, don't they? Not
Unlike-
me.
No, me neither. But yeah, you can either send it to or literally deliver it to Waterstones, or you can email it to me. Again, as I said, my email is admin@iwsb.org.uk.
And
I have a question.
Go on then.
I have a question.
Okay.
This is quite funny.
In your opinion.
What would you do? What would you do if someone wrote it in Braille?
That's a very good question, actually.
We've got people that can read Braille.
That's nice.
We do.
You're all good then.
That's a very good question.
So you know what you've done now. So if they get one that's in Braille, they're going to give you a call, say, "Come and read this out for us."
Yeah.
You can dictate it into ChatGPT and it'll try to type it out for you.
You're
Fantastic.
more than welcome to have people drop their stories into here and we can get them to you.
Absolutely, yeah. Whatever is
Yeah.
most convenient for people. If they want to drop it at Vexis Radio, that's equally fine.
So what's the time scale?
The timescale is the closing date is Friday the 30th of October.
Right.
Oh, not far away then.
Not too far away. I mean, let's face it, time is flying, isn't
Yeah,
it?
get your thinking caps on.
Crazy.
Yeah, it sounds like 2 months, but it sounds like 2.5 months, but it is 2.5 months, but also it won't feel like that.
No.
That's right, Leo. You're absolutely right. We will then have the award ceremony on Friday the 11th of December.
Right.
And that's at the Riverside Centre again. So we'll be talking more about that nearer the time. So hopefully you'll have me back.
Oh, of course.
Of course we will. If you need any
October.
help with it, give us a shout.
Thank you very much, as always. Do you want to know who the celebrities are?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, go
well,
on then.
We have our stalwarts. So we have Richard Cadell
Yes.
again.
Yes.
And we have Chesney Hawkes.
Oh, yes.
Who's coming back.
Yeah.
The one and only.
The one and only
Yes.
Chesney Hawkes. We've also got Stuart McGinley from Nation Radio South, Nation Easy
Oh, right,
Radio.
yes.
Yes, he
And-
was. Yeah, I know that name. He used to be on a
He used to be on All Right. That's right, yes. And talking of All Right Radio, we also have Paul Topping.
Oh, right,
who's gonna
yes.
be one of our
Right. Oh,
readers.
yes, I know Paul Rizzo. Yeah.
And then the one I'm very pleased that I've managed to get is the lady that is the hotel inspector, Alex Polizzi.
Oh, right.
Oh, I've seen her. I don't know much about her, but I've seen her. Yeah.
She's, scary lady. She says it how it is. It's brilliant.
Hopefully, she's not too scary when she's reading the stories.
I hope not.
Depends on the story.
Depends on the.
I suppose
exactly. So I'm really pleased with the celebrities we've got this
No,
year.
that's a good collection. That's
Isn't
excellent
it?
stuff.
Yes.
And as usual, the top ones will be recorded, and we can play them out here on
Yes.
Vex Radio across the Christmas period.
And again, thank you for always supporting
It's
us
a
with
pleasure.
the
Not a problem
competition.
at all.
We do appreciate it. Thank you.
So,
Sam's got something.
Sam's got something to talk about now, haven't you, Sam?
Have indeed. We've had all sorts going on over the summer, but something that we're trialling this year is we are going to be climbing Mount Snowdon.
Wow.
When you
So-
say we,
It's
It's not me.
no. It's me, JD, and a couple of our members. Basically,
Right.
we have a Striders group that runs every month where they go on a long walk.
They
sort of
don't
between-
go up Snowdon, though, do they?
No.
No.
So what we're doing is next year we're planning on taking a lot more of them with us, but we have to risk assess it, health and safety,
I should think so
compliance.
too.
You do know there's a railway goes to the top, don't you?
Yeah. I've also contacted a paragliding club to take us back off of it. But no, so this year we're just simply risk assessing it. So there'll be 3 or 4 of us that are going to be doing the main climb
Right.
towards the end of this month. So it's
Is this to raise funds, is it?
this is just simply the health and safety point of view. So 3,500 feet will be going up, and it's also to show, because one of the members that's coming with us is severely sight impaired, and it's to sort of show that, you know, just because you have a visual impairment, it doesn't mean it can stop you from doing anything.
Absolutely.
Life has challenges, and you can do, if you put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want to do.
That's a very important thing to say.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that.
So it's going to be like a 3-day break. We're going to be travelling up on the first day, and then do the actual climb on the next day, and then coming back on the third.
Okay.
So it's going to be a busy week.
I want to see a picture of JD and all his hair in one of those crash hats.
Yeah. I'm sure we can organise that.
Yeah, we'll get a picture.
But yeah, no, it's looking to be, you know, hopefully this weather holds out. Knowing our luck, it'll probably be gale force winds and thunder and lightning.
Well, it's going to be breezy at the top of Stone, whatever the weather is.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good thing. And then once we've got all the necessary paperwork in place next year, we're going to be taking up a whole group of them. So
what time of year are you thinking of?
when we do the main one next year, it's undecided. It will be when we got some guaranteed sort of nice weather.
Right.
So
okay,
So
that makes sense.
late spring, early summer, maybe.
yeah, early summer we'll probably be looking at, but obviously,
Be good if the weather's only like this year.
Yeah,
It'd be too hot, wouldn't it?
So do you think you get some sponsors for it, or is it just an exercise to do?
we're hoping to get some sponsors,
Yeah.
and obviously the ultimate goal is to raise funds for the charity.
Yeah.
So we can carry on doing what we're doing,
Yeah.
and all the hard work we all do.
Don't you just?
Indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is Morris going?
No,
No,
I
I
don't
didn't think
so.
you would.
He could sparkle at the top.
He could sparkle at the top.
It sounds like an interesting. Not that I'd be doing it, but it sounds like a very interesting thing to do.
Yes.
When you're young and fit enough to do it. That's
Yes.
the thing. Yeah.
Would everyone get a certificate when they get to the top?
I'm sure they will.
Not actually at the top, but
Yeah,
to
certificate.
say they've done it.
A much needed
You
drink.
should. Yeah. Is there a bar at the top then?
That'd be the incentive, wouldn't it?
Yeah. There's a pint of beer waiting for you at the top of that mountain. Off you go. Well, good luck to you for doing that. I think so. Yeah. I think we went to the Christmas in July thing. You did it at Millbrook House. That was fun.
And it snowed.
It did snow.
Yeah. Yes. It was really hot and it snowed. Yeah, that was.
It was very, very good.
That was a good idea. I like that.
Unfortunately, I was touching down in Turkey on that day, so
Well, never mind.
bit of a
Someone
much-
had to do it.
It was good. I mean, it was hot.
It was.
But, Santa was in a Hawaiian shirt, so we quite like that. But yeah, well done on all the
I found
things you
some
do.
shade to sit in. So.
I think it was surreal, wasn't it? You were baking hot, but you were hearing Christmas songs.
And it was snowing.
And it was snowing.
Yeah, that was weird, but anyway, it was different. But good luck with the mountain climb.
Thank you very much.
We'll just do the risk assessment one soon, and then
Yeah.
and then after that, the big event is next year. Well, keep us up to date with that one.
Definitely will. Yeah.
One more thing.
I've got one more thing just to mention.
Yeah.
Go on then.
In September, this is our 3rd year, we're doing Ride the Wight. And that's REYED. See what they did there?
Oh yeah.
So we have a what's called exercise bike.
Yes.
I think we'll have 2
Yeah,
in,
we'll
Yeah.
have
in
two.
Millbrook House. So we can come in and cycle miles to raise money for Sight for Wight. I think we covered something like 700 miles last year.
Okay.
People were doing. So if anyone is interested, or if people like driving to work and they decide, do you know what, I'm going to bike in, and they want to donate their petrol money to
All
us,
right.
all well and good.
Fine. Yeah. Why
So
not?
that's throughout September.
Right. Well, let's know about that. You can always put all these things on our website.
Yes.
Completely free of charge, and then it will get promoted on the air
It
anyway.
will, yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. That's
Just
what
get
we're
over-
here for.
that's what we're- Thank you very much for coming in, and I'll get a photo of you two in a minute for the website.
Vectis Radio on DAB.
Hello. Right, much excitement here in the Lane household with the arrival of a box of wine. Always like a box of wine, but a box of wine with a difference. Here we go. Ooh, golly.
One blind wine connoisseur unpacking his latest delivery. We'll be finding out what makes it different later and how this programme had a hand in it. But first, we've heard the first stirrings of what the committee charged with reviewing PIP, or personal independence payments, has been up to. You'll remember that the review was called for after the government's attempts to reform the benefits system were voted down in Parliament just over a year ago. PIP is the benefit designed to help disabled people meet the extra costs of disability. But the demand for it has been steadily rising, particularly since COVID. And the calls from some quarters for the benefit bill to be cut has continued, reaching a crescendo at the weekend, with Reform UK saying that if they came to power, they would do away with PIP altogether, and claiming that they could save the government £50 billion with their whole benefits package. Meanwhile, the interim report on what the PIP review has been doing was published recently, but quite frankly, it didn't tell us very much. It seemed to be more about process than proposals for change, but it did say the committee had concluded that PIP was no longer fit for purpose. Meanwhile, visually impaired listener Kelsey Trevitt did tell us what PIP meant to them.
It really is those additional costs of being disabled. Accessing the grocery shopping, I do my shopping online, which incurs a delivery fee, because accessing a grocery shop when you can't see it all is really challenging. And I think, there's many examples of those additional costs, but what's really important here is they are also the additional parts of being disabled that facilitate me staying in work and retaining the job that I have. It's not clear that PIP is not a work-related benefit. The costs that PIP covers to cover the additional cost of disability, where's the relationship that's been considered with the fact that that keeps disabled people in work, in employment, in the economy?
Well, if the conclusion is that PIP isn't fit for purpose, it seems now that people like Kelsey will be given the chance to suggest what should be done about it. 15 workshops, online and face-to-face, are to take place over September and October, and disabled people are being invited to apply to take part in them. To find out more about this and what else the review has been up to, I've been speaking with Dr Clinton Farquharson, one of the 3 co-chairs of the 12-person steering committee, which has been mulling over these problems. Clinton will come on to these workshops and who can apply in a moment, but first I feel I must ask you, if the committee concludes that PIP isn't fit for purpose, how far away are you from a political party which says PIP should be done away with altogether?
I can only answer the remit that our steering group was set in its terms of reference, but I just would like to acknowledge Kelsey's point that PIP matters deeply to people, but the system itself is no longer fit for purpose, and it is meant to help with that extra cost of disability. Yet, too many people describe the process as stressful and dehumanising, and we have listened to tens of thousands of people. Now we want disabled people and others with direct experience of personal independence payment to help test and improve the recommendations before the reviews report later this year.
And I promise I will come on to how they do that. But at this stage, are there any concrete proposals you can tell us about so that people who are thinking of applying to join one of these workshops knows what they're going to be discussing?
Our recommendations will be emerging recommendations, and we're still working through them. I would love to bring you solid proposals, but they are emerging thinking around the recommendations that we'll be looking at what we've heard from the call to evidence around the assessment, descriptors, the award, what PIP is for and what PIP is not for.
You make a great deal in this report about what's called co-production, and I know you work in the field of co-production, I think with Nottingham Council. The idea involving beneficiaries, stakeholders in the process. Isn't this just a bit of window dressing to offset accusations that disabled people, visually impaired people, haven't been properly involved in the discussion process?
I would just like to clarify how we are defining co-production. At the moment, co-production is being done with the steering group. When we talk about co-production in the wider, we're talking about elements of how involvement, consultation, how we describe co-production nationally. From my other work that I do, we talk about the ladder of co-production. So you have consultation, involvement, engagement. There's a series of progressions that you would make on the ladder. What we're saying with disabled people and people with long-term conditions, this isn't fully or true co-production. We do acknowledge that.
But whatever you eventually propose, and I realise you're not going to tell me exactly what might be proposed, well, you're telling me it's not been decided yet, but this is going to come down to money, isn't it? Either less people getting the benefit, or if the numbers can't be cut, more people getting less. I mean, surely the Department for Work and Pensions aren't going to accept a solution where the costs keep rising.
We will work within the terms of reference that we were given and the projected Office for Budget responsibilities. We have to acknowledge that space, but we will see how we can try and have a balanced approach to working with that, but also recognising what the value of PIP is to disabled people and people with long-term conditions.
But you have been saying that PIP isn't fit for purpose, so that must mean that you're going to make considerable changes as suggestions.
There will be emerging recommendations. We will need to look at what could be the urgent changes in the current system, what would improve that. We will need to look at what medium and long-term changes need to happen. But also, the steering group purpose is to make recommendations to the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of State will have the final call of what recommendations progress.
And when do you think that we might actually reach that stage? I mean, your workshops are going to be September and October. Will they go straight to the Secretary of State then, or will there be further discussions after those workshops?
There will be further discussions from the insight and wisdom of disabled people and disabled people's organisations and charities. Late autumn is where we need to get the collection of recommendations ready to show the Secretary of State.
So, who do you want to come on these workshops and how do they go about it?
Well, we would like disabled people and people with long-term conditions. We want to hear from those. But also, we want to understand the experience of PIP and the process, but also carers and support workers can also apply. We've got about 300 places, Peter. We're saying 300 people cannot represent every experience. And the workshop size is deliberate, about 20 people. Gives everyone a real opportunity to speak and examine some of the emerging recommendations.
And if people want to take part in that, they need to hurry, don't they? Because applications, I think, in by 5 o'clock this coming Friday, 21st of August?
Absolutely. And those timetables and timelines, we can't move. So, apologise that seems very rushed, but we have a time scale to meet.
OK. Dr. Clinton Farquharson, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Peter, for your time. Thank you.
And we will put the link to the application form on this programme's description on our website. And you can also email timsreview.shapingrecommendations@dwp.gov.uk. Well, let's just hope after all this that visually impaired people will still be able to afford the odd glass of wine. Otherwise, this next item might appear somewhat redundant. Only joking. Let's catch up with how teacher of wine appreciation Richard Lane is getting on with that latest delivery.
3 bottles of wine, and immediately I can feel something rather tactile on the label. Let's have a look. Wow. These Terrasada wines with their Braille labels. Even for a poor braille reader like myself, thank goodness, they've got a start point. There's a very large raised bump high up at the top of the label, but that's to tell you where the labelling starts, where the reading starts. The first thing I read when I picked up bottle number 1, it said Vermentino di Sardegna. And that's wonderful because Vermentino is a beautiful white grape variety from Sardinia.
So, to find out what this is all about, joining me is Sue Scott, who runs, with her husband, who's from Sardinia, Terra Sarda Wines, a wine distribution company in East Yorkshire. Sue, how did this all begin? Tell us the story.
Well, first, Peter, I'm going to say just how exciting it was to hear Richard describe that. He's got a very good Italian accent as well. Yes, it all started because my husband and his brother, who are both Sardinian, run a restaurant together in East Yorkshire. And Torre, my husband's brother, was one of the first people to have refractive eye surgery way, 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 way back. And unfortunately, it didn't go quite so well for him. And he has progressively lost his sight. So he is blind in one eye and losing sight in the other. And we had talked over the years about accessibility. He's not a braille reader, but of course he does sell a lot of wine, being a restaurant. And he finds it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to read the information on the back of the bottles, and Candido has to do it for him. But I've been listening to In Touch for so many years.
Glad to hear it.
Yes, absolutely. And I was washing up at the sink one night and I had In Touch on in the background. And I wasn't really paying attention, sorry, Peter, but then suddenly this lovely voice came on with a wonderful West Country accent, and I'm a sucker for West Country accents. So my ears pricked up, and it was Brandon talking about all things Dotty and braille printing. And so I found All Things Dotty's website and sent him an email. And lo and behold, I get a telephone call, and it's Brandon, and he goes, "Hello, Sue, you've just emailed me. How can I help?" And I thought, this is the sort of company I want to work with.
Right. So I expect you thought at that point, well, this is all right. This is the answer to the problem that I wanted to solve. Was the process as straightforward as you perhaps first imagined?
Well, probably not, to be honest, because I knew nothing about Braille. I didn't know how much space it took up for a start. And what Brandon didn't appreciate, not being a wine drinker, not ever having lifted a bottle of wine off a shelf, was that wine bottles come in lots of different shapes and sizes. So that was our first problem.
Right. Let's just rejoin our wine expert, Richard Lane, to hear how he got on with his box of Terra Sarda wines.
There's lots and lots of braille here telling about who bottled the wine, where it's come from, the name of it. I would want a slightly simpler braille label, which was telling me, well, the first thing I want to know is the colour of the wine, because, you know, all joking aside, white, rosé, red, we need to know that. Then I picked up another bottle and I'm reading this one, and it says Cannonau di Sardegna. Cannonau is a black grape variety from Sardinia, same as Grenache. So that's going to be a big, earthy, quite a big red wine, not for a hot day in August. What I'm struggling to find is the year, the vintage, and the alcohol level. I'm sure it's on this braille label. With my braille skills, I couldn't find it. I could find that the red wine, the Cannonau, was bottled by the Cantina Dogali, which is good, so that's the producer's name. I would say, done a great job for the experienced braille reader, but if there was something a little bit simpler, I think perhaps more people might benefit from it. Vermentino di Sardegna. Let's not stress about all that braille. Salute.
Salute, Richard. Sue, as Richard highlighted there, people's braille skills do vary. So is less is more a problem for you? Because I guess the question is, what information do you actually legally have to include on the bottles, and would they make you include it on a bottle that you were making deliberately accessible for blind people?
Yes, that's such interest. Honestly, I'm so pleased that I've heard that. That's such interesting feedback. When you bring wine into the UK, you are legally obliged to put things like wine in English on the bottle. So you have to have certain things like what's in the bottle, what colour of wine is in the bottle, whether it is sparkling or still, the name of the importer, which of course an address will take up a lot of space anyway, the percentage of alcohol, the volume of the wine bottle, and then it's optional, but you can put a description of the wine into it more than what its colour is, but whether it's a sweet wine or whatever.
Right.
And so just printing that took up a lot of space. And what I wanted to do was actually give people who couldn't read the label on the bottle what type of wine it was, beyond the fact that it was wine and it was still white or red. And I had a quick chat with the Food Standards Agency's wine department, and they said, well, strictly speaking, you should reinterpret the legal information, because from our traceability point of view, that is what somebody without sight would also want to know. But clearly, the user at the end, as Richard has said, that's not what they want to know. They want to know
No.
what's in the bottle.
And I guess you could also argue that the bottle will still have that information in print, won't it?
It does,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes. So I think I might go back to them and say, well, this is the feedback we've got. So if it's not a legal obligation, are we entitled to leave it off? And then I could introduce a lot more of the description that Richard's looking for. So I think that's really valuable feedback.
Well, that's good. I want to bring in Brandon now. Brandon Holcup, who founded and runs All Things Dotty, which is a Braille printing service. How did you two decide what information is worth including in Braille, or what? Because how much was that a problem from the actual brailing point of view, Brandon?
Yeah, hello, Peter. From the brailing point of view, obviously Braille takes up a lot of space, and I've never seen a wine label, so I don't know how to lay it out. But at the same time, I'm also aware of the size. We don't want it on the bottleneck, we just want it around the main bottle. And then we found out that some bottles are different shapes and sizes, which, yeah, okay, fair enough. Not so easy to braille on.
We haven't even tackled the sparkling wines, Brandon, have we? And they do have a very, very distinct curvature. And I honestly don't know how we're going to do that one.
I think I do. So if you'd like to, I'll have a conversation with you afterwards. I've got a couple of ideas.
Right, well, I think you better delay that, otherwise we'll go right into The World Tonight or something on Radio 4.
Agreed.
Apart from the wine, because we introduced your scheme to In Touch listeners, as Sue has been revealing, how's All Things Dotty going? What else are you doing, and are you getting plenty of work?
Yeah, it's going well, thank you. Yeah, it's all paying off. So we are a transcription agency now. So we do a lot of different formats: audio, braille, and large print. Wine labels, I mean, that was the first time I've ever been asked to do that, and it was a really special project. So hopefully, long may it continue. But we're there now. We know what we're doing. But we also do a lot of braille tuition, so we can teach. We teach a lot of braille now. We've done board games. We've got Cluedo and Monopoly over there. We're doing a lot more sight loss exhibitions and a lot more events now just to get our name out there. Very, very busy.
Well, good to hear. Brandon, thank you very much. And our thanks to Sue for bringing this to our attention. And Richard Lane for allowing us to sit in on the unpacking of his box. That's it for today. Do contact us with your views on anything that you've heard in the programme, including your tastes in wine and how you access the information on the bottle. Because we're not claiming this is necessarily the first, because we do know one or two French companies have done this. Tell us of any others you know. Email in touch at bbc.co.uk or leave your voice messages on 0161 836 1338. From me, Peter Wight, and producer Beth Hemmings. Goodbye.